Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is Friday. It's November 22nd, and we're going live with our theme, Let's Thrive in 2025. I put a topic together, and I do have some nuggets to talk about to get us going for the end of this year and the beginning of next year. But I also have a couple of stories that have come up. We've just finished this election and things are popping around here. So it's a couple of stories that are financially related that I wanted to talk about after we talk about the nuggets. So here we go. Now, I started thinking this past week when I was on my little vacation about what are some of the things that'll make people's lives a little better as we come into the new year. And then I started calling them, little nuggets, wisdom nuggets, things that are simple, and they're simple to say, but sometimes they might be hard to do. So I have maybe 4 or 5 of those, and I'm going to go over those now. We're going to start off with number one: cheaper is not always better. Cheaper is not always better. I know as young people, a lot of times they don't get it until something happens and they get older. So the first story that I want to talk about is, put a one in the chat if you knew that Spirit Airlines is going into bankruptcy. Now, I've never flown Spirit Airlines. My son flew Spirit Airlines one time and he told me, "Mom, never get on Spirit Airlines." So I've never gotten on Spirit Airlines. And I know that sometimes when I'm sifting through YouTube, I see videos of all kind of ghetto type stuff going on Spirit Airlines, and I just didn't want to deal with it. But they're in bankruptcy. They are the cheaper of any of the airlines, yet they're going into bankruptcy. So it says bankruptcy fallout forces Spirit Airlines to provide major update on flight schedules, booking, and loyalty points. Americans can still book tickets and fly on Spirit Airlines despite the carrier filing for bankruptcy on Monday morning, this past Monday. Why would I book a ticket, even if I was a Spirit Airlines customer? Why would I book a ticket after hearing that these people are going bankrupt? I don't know, and I don't know if people have been doing it. It says, despite being the biggest budget airline in the US, Spirit has suffered a long run of quarterly losses and has significant debt. The company wrote an open letter to customers on Monday, reassuring them that flights will continue as scheduled for now. It literally says for now. And they can still use loyalty points and credits as normal. The news of the bankruptcy comes just over a week before Thanksgiving, when millions of Americans plan to travel across the country for the holiday. The most important thing to know is that you can continue to book and fly now and in the future, the letter read. Filing for bankruptcy does not mean an airline will stop running. Rather, it gives the company protection to reorganize its business. This often means shedding assets or parts of its operations. That would be a scary thing because you don't know the blowback from this bankruptcy. How many people do they owe? How many of the vendors are no longer going to supply them with needs, which cuts off some things that they are supposed to do for the customers on the planes and before they get on the plane. So I don't know, but cheaper is not always better. And I read a story, I think it was a week ago, about a guy when he was a teenager. He bought this shirt and he was looking for a particular kind of like polo shirt, and there were some very expensive real polo shirts, and then he found this knockoff polo shirt, and it was so much cheaper than the real polo shirts, and he was bragging to his mother about, oh, they're paying too much for these shirts, and I found this shirt, and it's the same as this one. So he wears it and he's all, got his chest out and everything, and then he washes it. And it's shrunk. He couldn't even wear it anymore. He said it shrunk so small you could have put it on a doll. But that was funny to me because Again, that's another example of cheaper is not always better. So we need to learn how to look for quality in everything that we do, whether it be buying clothes or whether it be, even buying a car, even buying a used car, which we talk about always getting used cars. That's one of the other ones. But so that's the first one. The second one I have down here is, whew, right now, put your nose to the grindstone. There is no time for balance when you are broke or nowhere near where you want to be financially. So, what I'm saying is, I hear a lot of people complaining about not having any money and being broke and all that. Yet, they have a job, whatever they're doing, but they spend a lot of time sitting on that kabunkum in front of the television or the electronic income reducer. So, what I said before is what my mentor told us. First of all, there is no such thing as balance when you're broke. There is a time for everything. But when you're broke, you don't, I know that people, I work hard. And a lot of times, some of my relatives might say something like, you need to just take a break and you need to, I do take breaks every once in a while, but I don't take breaks. I don't just have a routine of sitting in front of the television or entertaining myself because I'm still not where I want to be financially. But we, as people that are in the middle class, some people might not be all the way up to the middle class, some people may be above in the higher middle class, but we can't complain about where we are financially if we are spending hours a week doing things that aren't producing the lifestyle that we need. And that's just life. So what I put here is, with the economy the way it is, make a plan to earn as much as you can now. We don't know what's about to happen. There's so many different predictions about what's going to happen in the next 3 6 months to next year, and we really don't know. However, it's good to be prepared. How many of you were taught how to play chess? Put a one in the chat if somebody taught you how to play chess. When I was younger, my father taught my brother and I how to play chess. And he said chess is life. And if you move there and somebody else moves here, you got to figure out why they moved there. And to the best of our ability, we need to do that with the economy the way it is right now. The best way to be strategically in place is to go ahead and try to make as much money as you can right now. We always talk about home-based business. That's my thing. But making a plan, first of all, if you have a job, work your job. If you can get overtime, get overtime. I mean, that's something that's a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. If you have the ability to get overtime, go ahead and get the overtime. Use some of that money to pay off debt, save some of it, and start your business. So, and don't accumulate more debt. We talked about what they call Parkinson's theory, and it's Parkinson's theory, in a nutshell, basically says when people get a raise, let's say if you get a $5,000 raise, within 6 months, your expenses will have risen by $5,000. And as a financial person, I see that to be true a lot of times because people feel like, I got this raise, now I can get this thing or did this whatever, and this is not the time to be doing that. It's taking that extra money and paying off debt. I remember when I was an IRS agent, they used to send me on trips to trainings, and they used to give us what's called per diem. And if I'm not mistaken, it was somewhere maybe around $75 a day, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, and that's pretty good. And you could literally spend that easily, even back then, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you ate out. So back then I was in debt. I think I might have told you guys before, when I was a young mother, I had, I was married and I had two children. We had 13 credit cards, and it was just, young and dumb. And they weren't all run up or anything, but there was Zales and K's and Exxon and Chevron and a whole bunch of them. And then I realized, they're just, even though the balances weren't necessarily all that much, it's no need for all these credit cards. Just get a Visa, one Visa, and don't have it run up. So when I made that decision, I stopped using those cards, but I needed to pay them off. So when I would go out of town, sometimes it was 1 week, sometimes it was 2 weeks, I would take all that money and put it in my account. And I would go to, this is when I was not as health conscious as I am now. I would stay in the hotel in whatever city it was, and they usually had like a small refrigerator in the hotel and a microwave. So I would buy a whole bunch of those little dinners, and I would eat those dinners for lunch and dinner. I probably, had some kind of fruit for breakfast. And I paid off all my debt by just doing stuff like that, because I saved so much money by just buying what you call TV dinners, the microwavable dinners. And I wouldn't recommend that now because I don't use a microwave. You're not supposed to. Anyway, so we have to find our own plan to make sure that we're thriving and getting out of debt. And that was just one that I use. And I used to get tax refunds back then, and I used to use the whole tax refund on a debt. So eventually, after not too long of a period, we were out of debt with one credit card. And so this is a way to get out of debt. And I did use the snowball method, which is making sure that you pay off the smallest card first, and then you get momentum. You feel good about that. I told you all I used to cut the card in fours, throw it on the ground in the garage, and do a little dance on it, and then put it in the trash. So that was a way for me to do that. And then it says use the money strategically. If there's $500 on a card and you have $750, pay it off for good. Even if you have a lot of more cards, I like paying them off and cutting them up. Just having as few cards as possible. Now, I want to make sure that you know that business debt and personal debt is different, and you move a little bit differently when you're working with business debt. Because remember, the tax code is written for businesses. And so, business debt, as long as you can manage it and it's doing what it's supposed to do, I'm not including that over there, making sure that you have the business income to cover the business debt. But we're more so talking about personal debt. Even if you have to do the bucket method, you have three buckets, and part of that's used to pay off debt, part of it's used for saving, and part of it's for entertainment. This is what I had my children. I had them somewhere at some store. I found for each of them, maybe it was a three drawer plastic, a plastic drawer, a plastic structure that had three drawers in it, and they had to put their savings in one, their giving in one, and then their spending amount in one. So, I mean, it might sound rude and crude, but that's the way some people can manage not going over budget, because it's when it's sitting there in the bank account and you're not necessarily looking at the budget, or you're not looking at the balance, I meant, then things can get spent really easily. So the three bucket method really works. Press through your desire to spend money on things that make you feel good in favor of things that will bring you wealth in the future. I feel like, based on the information that I'm getting, that we have maybe some good times coming, but some rough times before the good times. So it would be good to make sure that you're more flexible. And what I mean by flexible is you're not tethered to debt. So I have people that I know that don't have any debt. They can go where they want to go. They can do what they want to do. They don't have to worry about, oh, I need to make sure that I'm in place on this job to pay this debt, or I don't have a mortgage, so there's no reason for me to have to stay around here. Once this lease is up, I'm here in San Diego, and I think that I want to move to Dallas, Texas. So once the lease is up, I can move. A lot of wealthy people these days, and you all might know this, they don't buy houses. They just rent. I mean, they may even have homes that they use for rental property. I have an associate that I met a while ago that does live in San Diego. Beautiful house, It was between San Diego and LA. That he just rents. And a lot of people I've heard rent. So don't feel bad, if you can't afford a house. Don't force yourself into getting a house right now, which is the next one. Um, Put off buying a home in order to avoid crushing debt and ensure your flexibility. It's nice to have a home, but a lot of times these days, homes are debt traps. So first of all, they're overpriced. The way the housing prices got so high is because when women started to go back when women started to go into the workforce in mass, it was easier for anybody to get a house. So, like, say if it's a married couple, husband was making $40,000, and we're talking back in the '60s, maybe early '70s, and he could qualify for a house. Yeah, and they got a house. But then women started going into the workforce, and it was his 40 plus maybe her 20 or 30. So now you got 70, and so they can afford to buy a larger house, and they can really afford it. And then price how and I did research this. Housing prices skyrocketed when a lot of women started going into the workforce. That's just greed. And now we have a situation where I read an article. I don't think I put it, no, that's not one of the ones I selected, but it said that there are certain cities where the housing prices are going to be over $1 million within the next 5 years. They talked about some cities that weren't, but they talked about some cities like Salt Lake City, Utah, and Boise, Idaho. Those two places right there, you wouldn't even think about going. You wouldn't. But they said that the housing prices are creeping up. Within the next 5 years, they'll be up in the millions. So I wouldn't stress about buying a home just because it used to be the American dream. It used to be a big part of the American dream. And right now it's unreachable by a lot of people. Some of you might have seen the video that I put out there where somebody did a short video, and they were in front of Home Depot where those sheds are, and they made a comment about these are the houses that the millennials or the younger people are going to be having to buy now. And I started laughing at it, but then I thought about it, this is not funny because they really can't afford houses. The new houses that they're building near me that look like their matchboxes are 400 plus, $400,000. Who and people, you don't need to be strapped to that kind of debt. You really just don't. So don't feel bad if you are not in the position to buy a house. I wouldn't even be looking for one. I'll tell you what though, if you're thinking, I'm a strategic thinker. So I have a house and I bought it in, what was it, 2013 for $76,000 because it was at the bottom of the market and it was a foreclosure. Thank God for that. So anyway, you got places to rent. So somebody was asking me about that. They're thinking about renting in this high rent district and all that. And I was like, how much room do you really need? And they was like, well, I want a bedroom and I want an extra bedroom for, if I have guests or maybe if I use it for an office. I said, okay, you really don't need a 3 bedroom. If you need a 2 bedroom, don't necessarily go to the high rent district. We don't want to get strapped by a house, but we also don't want to make somebody else rich with rent, overpaying just because we want to say that we live in a nice neighborhood like Vinings or Buckhead or anything like that. I know some people that live in Buckhead that they're making the money, but it would be better for them to save the money and move to another nice but less expensive area. So the way that our finances are being shifted, the way that you decide to take care of your finances between now and maybe the end of 2025 may shape the way your life goes because there's a lot of moving and shaking going on. So let me say, okay, the amount of money Americans need to earn to be able to afford a house has soared in the last 5 years as housing prices have jumped and mortgage rates nearly doubled. In the majority of the US cities, buying a home now requires a six-figure salary. That is according to fresh data from the economic advisory firm Oxford Economics. The report found that on average, a household needs to earn an annual income of $107,700 to afford a single family home and pay both property taxes and home insurance costs. That is nearly double the income that was required 5 years ago. That's really deep. It says in the most expensive cities, many of which are in California, I don't know, California just keeps coming up negative, just coming up negative. Residents need to earn multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in order to buy and maintain a home. In San Jose, which is the least affordable metro in the study, locals need to earn a staggering $460,746 in order to be a homeowner. The most affordable cities, meanwhile, are largely located in the Midwest. Across the 173 metros analyzed in the study, the cheapest place was Decatur, Illinois, where residents needed to earn $43,840 to afford a home. So you all might want to go to Decatur, Illinois. Anyway, don't stress about having a home. Also, don't stress about buying a new car. I talk about that. We don't need to buy new cars. I talk to millionaires sometimes, and one of them specifically said he never buys new cars. He will go to a car dealer that has the certified used cars and get his luxury cars from there. And because the price of a brand new car versus the price of a great used car is 10 or more $1,000 different. And I think that sometimes we try to, I don't know, we try to style and profile, and it makes people's self-esteem feel better. I've been around people that like to show off. They like to buy things that they really don't need to buy because it makes them feel more worthy. And, that's a whole mental health issue right there because, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm trying to make sure that I have an image that matches with what I'm doing, I'd be dressing like a bum sometimes, but I don't do that anymore. I had a mentor and he told me that to always dress, even when I'm going to the grocery store. This is a nugget too. Dress like I'm going to meet my next millionaire client. He told me that. And so I always listen, DJ. I always listen to him, and he's passed away now, but I listen to him and I say, okay, well, even when I go to the grocery store, I'm not going in there with flip flops on and or fuzzy house shoes and a bonnet. I don't do that kind of stuff. It's like you never know who you're going to meet in the grocery store or anywhere. So I think that was all for the nuggets. And I was gonna put some more, but then these breaking stories started coming through. So I'm gonna stop and look in the chat to see if there are any questions, and then we're gonna go to the two breaking stories that I found. So hello, Gail. Hey, Gail. We had a great time in the Bahamas. Yeah. Okay, let's see. This lady has my, you know what, and anyone in Congress. But you know what? Think about this though. They put people in office that they know they have something on. They don't want somebody like me to thrive in Congress. The one that got through the crack was Ron Paul, but they don't want somebody to come up and say, "Hey," and that's part of what we're going to talk about when you talk about Congress. Now, like I said, I didn't vote. I don't vote because I believe that changing the players without changing the game is an act in futility. However, it looks like some things are going to be on the horizon that I feel like are very positive. For example, this new efficiency department that Trump has put together with Vivek Ramaswamy and what's his face, SpaceX guy. This is, wait a minute. That's not the story I want, is it? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy have been tasked by President elect Donald Trump to start a new division, and it's called the Efficiency Department. So, one of the things that they came up with is they want to suggest a simplified tax code, and that really turned my head. It's like, okay, what is this right here? It's called Doge, DOGE. I don't know what that stands for right now. But it says new efficiency department suggests simpler tax code. H&R Block, Intuit, stock fall. So their stock fell. Americans are estimated to lose $546 billion annually because of complicated federal tax compliance rules. The new non-governmental, here it is, Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, have turned its attention towards simplifying the tax code, you guys. Wow. In 1955, there were less than 1.5 million words in the U.S. tax code, the department said in a recent post on social media platform X. Today, there are more than 16 million words because of its complexity. We know why that is. Americans collectively spend 6.5 billion hours preparing and filing their taxes each year. This must be simplified. So that got my whole attention about that. It's like, okay, one of the things that I thought about is since they're in this mode to simplify the taxes, why don't we show them what's really going on with the taxes? Think about that. That maybe somebody's putting that into play. So I'm going to stop for a minute and go. Any advice on picking a spouse and avoiding a divorce? I hear those are financial pitfalls. Okay, Crypto Yo. I do have suggestions on picking a spouse. I'm assuming that you're a male. Leave these women alone who are not. Y'all want me to get in? Okay, good. Okay, so there's a way to vet women. There's a way to vet women. Um, is she worth your time? Is she worth your toll? Is she trouble or is she a threat? You got to assess that like you do a SWOT analysis. First of all, you want somebody that's authentic. Y'all don't want me to get into this. How many of you knew that my dissertation for my doctorate degree was about how feminism has taken over mainline and evangelical churches and how we get it back, how you get femininity back? I know I'm gonna lose some of y'all women, but I'm one of those. I don't know what you call me, a pick me or whatever, but I believe in traditional marriage. I believe that women need to get on men's programs and don't go after these women who are running around perpetrating the prima donna. Somebody that's authentic, somebody that's friendly, somebody that smiles, and somebody that's fit, and somebody that's really feminine. I'm not considered a feminine person by some. I'm changing, because my whole career is kind of, finances are masculine, but I made a lot of changes over the years because I've learned you do better. I always say that to you all. You learn better, you do better. You know better, you do better. So yeah, leave these if you're young, I don't know how old you are, leave these young women alone. Men are human beings. They are not human doings. All of these videos I run across about the ring has to be $20,000. And if he wants to go out on a date, he has to, get my nails done and my toes done and pay for a babysitter. Come on, y'all. Just, go someplace like, walking around the park and you find somebody. And if you want more information on that, you can get with me later. Cause I don't know if y'all ready for all of the stuff I've been researching. This dissertation was 180 something pages. Anyway, let me get back over here. Let's see. Yes, Department of Government Efficiency. Elon Musk. Maybe they are going to incorporate that coin somehow. I don't know. I haven't seen anything yet about them talking about the coin. So I've only seen a couple of articles and they didn't mention any of the coins. I did see an article about now that President Trump has been elected, that they're going to elevate Bitcoin and the others and kind of push to the side that government coin that they were going to do, the one that we didn't want anyway. Okay. Focus on your spirit and your money. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's more about your spiritual. Where are you spiritually? And then when you look at the women, where are they spiritually? You know, the main thing, if I were talking to my son, which I had very intense conversations with him before he got married this year, um, is this person looking at you as a human being, or are they looking at you as a handyman human doing? And run from those, please. Okay, so it says Dodge is an extra governmental entity proposed by President Trump to restructure federal agencies, slash wasteful spending, cut down excess regulation, that's for sure. Tax complexity is a major issue for American taxpayers. An August 6th report by the nonprofit Tax Foundation found that complicated tax rules annually cost Americans $546 billion, which is nearly 2% of the country's gross domestic product. Goodness. The National Taxpayers Union Foundation, another nonprofit, noted in a report that one factor behind the complexity and confusion associated with tax compliance is the sheer size of the tax code. The Treasury Department, the Treasury Department's interpretation of the code comprises 22 volumes or more than 17,000 pages. Now, let's talk about these companies. Now, this is another whole shift, you guys. Things are really starting to shift. Meanwhile, tax filing service companies' shares fell based on market rumors that the Efficiency Department plans to introduce a free tax app. Okay. Shares in Intuit, which owns TurboTax online tax filing platforms, fell 5.10% on Tuesday. The company, TurboTax, earned more than 16 billion with a B dollars in revenue for 2024. So this past April and all of that, the tax returns that were filed, they made $16 billion. Okay, stock for tax preparation company H&R Block tanked by 8.2%, which is more. The company's revenue for fiscal 2024 was more than 3.6 billion. So obviously TurboTax makes more than H&R Block, but that's a lot of money. The stock went down a lot, and we all know now how much money they make from these taxes. So they're in panic mode, and I'm going to tell you why. The US Internal Revenue Service already offers Direct File, a free online tax filing option, which was launched in March of this year, 2024, in a limited capacity. Initially, only eligible taxpayers from 12 states were able to use the service. In May of this year, the IRS said Direct File will be available nationwide for filing 2025 tax returns. So, what they're saying is they're going to offer a free tax option for you to file tax returns, and that's going to disrupt the tax preparation arena. Now, there's one that I use already. It's called Free Tax USA, where the federal tax return is free. And if you live in a state that has state tax returns, it's only $15. And when you put your information in there, it rolls over every year that you use it. So you don't have to keep putting your name and your children's names and all that. You have to, take, like, if you have two jobs and then you go down to one, you have to take that off and stuff. But it's been working well. But now it looks like, and they're saying this, and I don't know whether it's going to come through, and I really don't trust the government, their systems. crashed a lot and all that stuff like that. But it looks like the U.S. government is finally going to give people the chance to file online free. I'm not doing it, but check that out. It says, let's see, let's go to the chat first and see if there anything else in there. Tokenization, RXP, Sologenic, XLM, things will be different in 2025. Those are the ones that are going to be pushed up, and the central bank digital currency is what I think they're going to push away. Okay. Focus. Okay, let's see. Digital money won't be surprised if Twitter X becomes a form of PayPal with crypto involved. That could be. Um, I'm more concerned about our privacy. So if crypto continues to be private, that's good. I don't like the fact that a lot of places don't take cash anymore because I don't necessarily want you to track where I'm spending my money, because I'm having to use a debit card or credit card. That's a bother with me. I went to a meeting not too long ago and I ordered, we were allowed to use their little room free if we ordered something. So, I was a little hungry and I ordered something and I pulled out my $20 bill and she's like, "We don't take cash." And I was like, "Okay." And in my mind, I said, "This is the last time I'm coming here because I don't like supporting places that won't take cash because you're taking away part of my privacy." Okay. The department is named after Musk coin. Really? I didn't know that. He had a coin. I didn't even know he had a coin. Thank you, Estella. I bought several years back at a fraction and now it's 42 cents. That sounds good. I don't think it's a coincidence then. It just doesn't sound like I don't believe in coincidences that much anyway. Okay. I use Free Tax USA as well. It really works well. It hasn't ever crashed on me and it just works well. Okay, bro AJ, Miss Jackson, I watched your earlier videos. I did the IRS calculator and I don't have to pay any federal taxes. Wonderful. The calculator showed I don't have to take any more federal taxes out. If the reason why people keep filing is because whatever their job or pension keeps taking taxes out. And in order for you to get your refund back, then you have to file a tax return. So I had this elderly client one time, and her husband had passed away, and she was getting his pension. And I realized that for 2 years, for the year before and that particular year, we were filing her tax return in order to get back the money that the job had taken out. She wasn't getting any more or any less. So let's say for the sake of argument, they were taking out $1,050 from the pension. She was eligible to get the whole $1,050 back. So I said, "No, you're not going to pay me anymore to do this. You're not going to do this anymore. I need you, and I can help you, to write them to tell them not to take out any more taxes because you're not owing." And so from then on, she did not have to file because she stopped them withholding the money from his pension check. Interesting interesting thing happened after that. After that year, the very next year after tax season, I got a call from one of either her children or grandchildren, and they were irate at me for telling her that she should call in and have the withholding stopped so she didn't have to file. And at first I was confused. I mean, I said, "Are you saying that she has to owe?" We went over that and she kept getting back the amount that was taken out. Well, their problem was that every year she had been giving them some money out of that refund that really wasn't a refund. So they were angry that she had been getting all her money during the year and she had no tax refund coming, so they weren't going to get any more money. Yeah, these things happen to me, guys. It's very interesting. Um, I don't think you're going to. I mean, you can go online and look up who must file, and it'll say if you have to make less than a certain amount of money, then you don't have to file. No, that's not his coin. Okay, somebody said that's not his coin. Okay, I'll be filing a 1040 NR this year. Okay, non-resident. Okay. Might as well say it's his coin. He's pretty much the mascot of the coin. Okay. Yeah, I don't really keep up with him. I do have coins. I have just been sitting on them, and I really need to figure out how to get back in my wallet, which is a shame. I've forgotten what to do, but I do have instructions somewhere, so I'll go in there and see what they're worth. It was less than 10K before when I looked, but I don't know what it is now. Okay, so let's go to the rest of what Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are being tasked to do. The tax code isn't the only target for Musk and Ramaswamy. The latter recently told Fox News there is massive waste, fraud, and abuse right now in the government. You think? We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright. Listen to this. Let me say this again. This is exciting. We expect certain agencies to be deleted outright, he said. We expect mass reduction in force in areas of the federal government that were bloated. We expect massive cuts in all federal contractors and others who are overbilling the federal government. Now, put a 1 in the chat if you don't think this is going to help you some way. If you don't think it's going to help you, I really think it's going to help. That money is being saved. They don't have excuses to tax us to death and do all these other crazy things. I mean, some of these departments are just put in place, in my opinion, to create jobs for folks' cousins and daughters and nephews and all the other stuff like that. But I digress. So it says, since the announcement of the new department, Musk has been sharing reports of government inefficiency. By the way, today I think I saw something, I ran across it, and I don't know whether it was true or not, that Elon Musk said he was going to buy MSNBC. I don't know. I'm flowing through stuff and my eyes catch stuff, but I don't have time to read all of this stuff. But that would be interesting too. On November 18th, Musk posted on X about a Government Accountability Office, a GAO, report, which in June 2019 found that 10 critical federal IT legacy systems were outdated or obsolete and collectively cost $337 million a year to run and maintain. And it really disturbs me that our Congress people, which know this because Rand Paul, has been putting out this called the Festivus report every year about all the government waste. And they just shrug their shoulders, but maybe now something's going to be done about it. Okay, in a November 19th post, Musk posted to another GAO report. He pointed to another GAO report, which found that 18 federal agencies made an estimated $247 billion in improper payments for fiscal year 2022. So $247 billion in improper payments went to people in 2022. Wonder who got that money. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The actual fraud and waste in government spending is much higher, Musk wrote. Most recently, the department pointed to reports suggesting that the Pentagon cannot fully account for $824 billion, that $200 billion in pandemic relief went to fraud and abuse, that there was $236 billion in improper payments in federal programs, and that the government cannot track $1 billion in aid to Ukraine. Stuff like that really bothers me because we have so many needs right here in the States. Look, can we talk about veterans? Can we talk about homelessness? Can we talk about the government school system who gets all that money pumped into it, and our children are way at the bottom somewhere internationally. They know these things. It's just that they don't care. So I'm wondering, whether this is another kabuki dance where they're not really going to do anything, or whether we'll finally get some things done. So that's the end of the Doge report. We'll just keep our ears and eyes open to see what changes actually happen. So I'm going to go back to the chat. Wonder whose private trust that ended up in. It probably ended up in somebody's private trust, several people's private trust. Okay, Estella, I read an article that $150,000 in federal, 150,000 federal employees have not filed their taxes. So who presses on them like to file? Oh, yeah, I've read something like that also. Um, Supposedly, when I was an IRS agent, they didn't, they took me through the ringer as far as all of this vetting and stuff, and they wouldn't let anybody become an agent unless they had filed. But I'm thinking that these are other governmental agencies, and these reports come out every once in a while that they haven't. Uh, a lot of things just they want to keep the status quo, and whether you like Trump or not, he is a disruptor. He's just a disruptor. So we're going to see everything that's stagnant needs to be disrupted every once in a while, or it becomes toxic. Yeah. If you know who they are, file. Okay, I don't get that one. So I'm going to go to our last report. It's about global economic risk sparking calls to tie the dollar to gold again. Interesting that they would bring this up in what's considered like main-ish stream media. So it says some economists advocate a return to the gold standard, criticizing the fiat currency system as the root cause of government overspending and inflation. You think? Experts see the simultaneous rise in gold prices and the US dollar, a rare market phenomenon, as signs of growing concerns about global economic risk. The situation has reignited discussion about returning to the gold standard, a position championed by conservative economists. Proponents of the gold standard say that a gold backed currency system provides the foundation for disciplined monetary policy, long term economic stability, and prosperity. Yes, it does. They argue that the fiat currency system, not backed by any physical commodity, is the root cause of government overspending and inflation. Yes, it is. However, experts who share those views caution that returning to the gold standard remains impractical in the short term, and I go along with that. It wouldn't work in the short term. It would have to be something that would be put in place over time. Investors' fear of economic instability stems from multiple global risks, including the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East, and the loose monetary policies adopted by central banks in major economies that drive up debt levels. Together, these factors have increased the market's demand for risk averse strategies. Gold and silver are some of the most risk averse strategies. And I've told you guys before, I only invest in silver, gold, and real estate, something I can hold in my hands or I can stand on my feet. In those volatile circumstances, investors are flocking for gold, which has long been valued for its innate safe haven qualities. At the same time, the US dollar maintains its status as a global refuge in times of crisis. So, at some point or another, with the BRICS coming in, I'm concerned that the dollar is going to lose its reserve currency status. Someone asked me in an interview, I interview every once in a while, maybe twice a month, and someone asked me in an interview maybe last month or earlier this month about BRICS, and how I felt about when they're what they're doing over there. they're coming up with a way to back their currency with gold. And I said, if the US dollar loses its status as the world's reserve currency, then we will be a third world country. That's a concern of mine because that's the way it's going. There are countries clamoring to join BRICS because the US has, I need to change my wording. The US has messed over so many different countries and destroyed so many economies and toppled so many different leaders that the blowback is here. And we are in this generation of when the blowback is starting to hit. That's why I also encourage you guys to look for plan B outside of the United States. So I'm going to go back to the chat and see. The Pentagon has not passed an audit, period. Who's held accountable? Nobody up there. How do we demand accountability? It's, you know, we've been demanding accountability with our mouths for a while. That has not worked. Protesting with signs outside does not work. Alexander Haig, back during the Vietnam War, he was part of the Department of Defense or whatever. He was asked during a protest for the Vietnam War, what do you think about these protests? And Alexander Haig said, let them protest as long as they pay their taxes. That was very telling to me. The way to get changes is to vote with your dollars and with your feet. So the best example that I have of people forcing change was during the bus boycotts, where people were tired of sitting in the back of the bus or being made to go to the back of the bus, and they didn't hold signs and picket. Well, maybe they did it first, that didn't work, whatever they were doing. And then they said, okay, we're just not going to ride the buses. We will just put some gym shoes on and walk, or we'll carpool, we'll ride bikes, and shut down the money flow of the bus company. Then there was change. So if you want a hint about how to make some changes, we have to vote with our feet and with our dollars. Okay, let's see what else is here. Accountability is done through private attorney generals and holding them accountable with RICO Act. So I've seen people doing that, hoping that, and I haven't watched it closely, but when I was watching it kind of closely, the paperwork and things that were being filed was ignored. So I'm hoping that has changed. Proud to be a simp. EFT will take care of gold-backed currency because they will tokenize it. Okay. ETF, I'm sorry. ETF. Okay. Gold and silver are the only forms of lawful currency. Yes, when you read our US documents, it was supposed to be, but all this was flipped on its end by people that had the population distracted looking at something else, like a Diddy situation, and everybody's focused over here on this list. And so many things are going on, guys, over here. And they don't want you to look over here. They want you to pay attention over here. So when there's some big stories, don't get engrossed in them. See what these folks are doing while you're looking at that stuff. Okay, let's see. They will replace the dollar with stable coins, RLUSD. Okay, we'll see. We'll see what they do. Well, we need to be prepared for anything, though. Like when you play chess, you got to be prepared. You got to say, if I move my rook here, what's going to happen? Or if I move it there, what's going to happen? If I move my queen here, who's got access to her? That kind of thing. Let's see. What is your take on Trump pushing to change up citizenship? If you mean if the only thing that I've heard where he's changing up citizenship was he was going to stop this anchor baby thing. So when people come over here specifically to have babies, so that the babies will be citizens, and then the parents somehow get citizenship. I've heard that he was going to try to get rid of that. We're one of the only countries that allow people to come over here and drop a baby and the baby be a citizen. So we would just be getting in line with other countries. If you meant something else, let me know. Rightfully structured. That's a nice name. Okay. Citizenship is a fundamental human right established by the United Nations. You are free to change your citizenship at any point in time you want. So that's true. However, the United States does things, and maybe other countries too, like this exit tax. So wealthy people decided they wanted to expatriate legally and formally expatriate. And so they said, I want to take my money elsewhere. And it's even happening in California. There's an exit tax in California. All those big companies and stuff that have been leaving California and moving to Texas and moving to Florida and other places, they're trying to make them pay to leave. Same thing in the United States. The uptick in people that have been formally expatriating, giving up their U.S. citizenship, has been so high that they are increasing this exit tax. So you know it's something that you have to deal with. If you've got a lot of money, that's something to think about. If you decide to leave, some people are keeping their citizenship, but they're only coming over here every once a year or whatever their country requires. Like with Costa Rica, you can stay for 6 months without leaving, but you don't really have to come back to the United States, because some people just go across the border to Panama, or either is it Nicaragua, one of them, go up north, or they go south to Panama for a day or two, and then they come back and they get their passport stamped again for another 180 days. They call those the border runners. But you can keep the citizenship and do that kind of thing, or you can have a residency somewhere else and have your citizenship here, or you can just give it up. Okay, let's say you're right about playing it like it's chess. That's why I watch. Oh, that moved. It moved. It went away. Let's see. BlackRock just got with Abu Dhabi. They're going to go insane with this stuff. Yeah, BlackRock is not a good name in my book. Vanguard, all of those, the robber barons. If you join a micronation like the Nation of the Amnesty Coalition, which gives formal ambassador to anyone who joins, you will voluntarily expatriate from the United States citizenship. Okay. Would you give up your citizenship? I would. I mean, what there are good things about the United States. I mean, I was born here for a reason, but the direction that the country is going right now disturbs me. And some people are proud to be Americans. Right now, I'm not proud, and I would consider that. It's not something that I would take lightly, and it's something that I would have to um, really think and pray about. I do actually have expatriation papers that Mel Stamper, which is a lawyer friend of mine that moved to Puerto Rico, gave me a while ago. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for being honest. I try to be honest all the time. If I feel like you ask me a question that's a little bit too personal, I'll tell you that it's a little bit too personal. But for the most part, my life is an open book with all the stuff I've been through with the IRS and prison and all that stuff like that. It's like, you know, yes, it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Yeah, this place is sick. And health wise, what are they feeding us? What's his name? Kennedy. Robert Kennedy is coming in saying we need to get rid of Cocoa Pops or Fruit Loops and all these other things. Y'all, they don't sell this stuff in other countries. They don't sell aluminum pots and pans in many countries. They don't, because that it leaches off. And I know we have a big problem with the plastic, but the pots and pans were there long before the plastic, and they in the microwave. The microwave was sort of a weapon during the Nazi era, and United States decided to use it. It's banned in a lot of. If you're not well read, you don't know how many things we have over here for our convenience that are banned in other countries, and that's why we're one of the sickest countries in the country. How many of you are familiar with Dr. Berg? I think it's Berg. He has like over 14 million subscribers on YouTube. I like him. He tells the truth. Dr. McCullough, I like him. And I look for their information to, give us updates on what we should be doing to try to stay healthy. Everything around our environment is like wanting to get us sick so that we could have to spend all this money on this treatment when there are actual natural things out there that will help you or prevent things from happening to you. And it's so sad that a lot of times people pay more attention to that track where they're leading you in that direction, yet you're still eating all the stuff and the preservatives and the high fructose corn syrup. That's a really big one. And I don't know if a lot of the products that we have in mass like that were byproducts of something else. So they were making something that they wanted, and they had all of this offshoot of this extra stuff, and they say, "Oh, let's package this up and sell it to the people." Like the petroleum jelly, like Vaseline is an offshoot, and so they sell that and make millions off of it, and then this it's bad. So my assignment for you, and I know it's a bad time to do it because Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming up and we have all of this sugar and stuff, is to start researching some of the things that they sell here but they don't allow in other countries. I'm going to check the chat one more time, and then I'm going to go because I do have a little bit of work to do. Let's see. Keep the best of both worlds at your access. I think that that's what people think when they keep their passport and then they get residency elsewhere. And a lot of people have dual citizenship. They do. After the bull run, I'm thinking about Kenya. Okay. I'm proud to be a sim. I looked at moving to Africa and a couple of the countries there. My concern was it's a long way. It's like transatlantic, and I want to be in a position where my family can get to me, because I'm like the one. If I make the decision to move and they haven't made it, and then maybe 6 months, a year later, 2 years later, they decide I want to get out of here, then they can drive to Costa Rica. That's why one of the reasons that I picked Costa Rica. But there are people that are moving to different places in Africa. I think Ghana is kind of getting a sort of a tainted name right now. Namibia is one of the ones that is okay. The Gambia is kind of getting a bad name. I haven't heard anything bad about Kenya. Okay, bro, AJ, RFK is correct. I am a chemist, and all these dangerous chemicals, even in a very small amounts, affect our bodies. He is right to go after the pharmaceutical corporations. Yes, all of them. I mean, I'm really happy about all this because as a researcher, when I started researching the taxes long ago, it brought in the health. So I went down the rabbit hole on everything, and I learned about all of the stuff that's in the food. And it's like when I go in the grocery store, I have a different perspective on the stuff that I see on the shelves than most people, because I looked today, or no, was it today? Yesterday, I went to get the stuff for Thanksgiving dinner, and right at the aisle, they had all of these honey buns and stuff, and they were like yum yum, and all I could see is death, death, death. There's a doctor. If you go to the website, thedoctorwithin.com, he's a doctor that tried to help me at some point or another when they were doing whatever they were doing to me in the prison. But in the doctorwithin.com is a free book, and it's lots of chapters in there. And he gives all of this great information. And then one of the chapters is called Sugar, the Sweet Thief of Life. And I went to a conference in Cancun. That's where I met him. And it was a whole bunch of people there. And he told me I was a drug addict, and I was really highly offended. And he was talking about, this was a long time ago, how sugar is a drug. And, I like sweets. So um, the doctor was talking about, oh, you're pre-diabetic and all that. So he told me different other natural sweeteners to use. And I went to the doctor again, and I stopped using sugar. Now, there are some substitutes like aspartame, and there's a movie out there called it's about aspartame. So that's really, really bad for you. I just forgot the name of that movie, but it's they did trials on it and they failed the trials, but Donald Rumsfeld, better known as Rummy, pushed those trials through, and the doctors got promotions. I saw this movie. If I think of it, I'll put it in the comment section. Okay, yeah. I love Dr. Berg. Yes, he's really, really good. I gave up my citizenship and have not looked back. I have a 5-star passport and have been put on a do not question, do not detain list. All right, then. That sounds good to me. World traveler, Mr. Berg, every day. You see, I follow him also. Okay, and then brother AJ, HFCS. I don't know what that is. I'm so sorry. Okay, Agent Orange in fertilizer. We are in serious trouble, and all of that stuff that they put in the wheat. So Quaker Oats got called out for that, and we don't get. I don't eat oatmeal or anything like that, but my daughter and everybody else stopped using Quaker Oats, and they use oats that doesn't have all that stuff in there. RFK better check his car brakes before he drive. And it's a shame that these people would rather harm these people that are trying to help than go ahead, and because it's so much money, the love of money is the root of all evil. Um, I'm praying that nothing happens to him or any of these people that are trying to do things that are going to help us health wise and help us financially. High fructose, yes, high fructose corn syrup. So yesterday, brother AJ, I went and I had to get cranberry sauce, and that Ocean Spray cranberry sauce that we have been using forever is full of, that's one of the second or third ingredient in there, high fructose corn syrup. So what I ended up doing is looking at all of the different cranberry sauces in there, and there's one, the Kroger brand, Simple Truth, is a decent brand. So they don't have that in there. They have cane sugar in there. So I got that one because the high fructose corn syrup is killing us. It's death. And also, some one of the things that I learned that offsets all of that sugar is alkaline water, because cancer supposedly can't live in an alkaline environment, and alkaline water stays alkaline for a little while. And I don't know how they sell it in the stores, but I'm not sure how long it stays alkaline. Some people are saying it'll stay for a week. Some people are saying it'll stay for 24 hours. But anyway, I have an alkaline water machine that all my family comes over here to use, and that's okay. But and I change the filters often and whatnot, so that helps. We know better. We do better. Let's see. Yeah. I have well, I have that other sea salt. I've heard about the Celtic sea salt. I forgot the name of the Himalayan sea salt that I got from the farmers market. We have a wonderful farmers market here, and it's maybe about 5 or 6 miles from me. It's our DeKalb farmers market, and my children have convinced me a while ago to start shopping regularly at the farmers market as opposed to going to the regular grocery stores, because the stuff is fresh and it's from all over the world. Is my Are my comments being blocked? So I if I skipped any of them, I think I said one above. I haven't seen a okay. Uh Co Eric is a human, right? I don't know. I mean, I see some up here. I don't know if you've been writing them recently, Crypto Yo. There's none in there that I can see. Not recently. Okay, Himalayan is great too. Great. That's what I have. Celtic salt is wonderful. Himalayan is the second best. Okay, so when I run out of this Himalayan salt, which I rarely use salt anyway, then I'll think of getting the Celtic salt. Baking soda, I didn't know that. Let's see. Baking soda. Oh, I missed that one. Baking soda, alkalines, water. I did hear that. I do know people that drink baking soda water. I'm hearing about castor oil and coffee enemas. I know castor oil works for a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm gonna go, but we really do need to watch our health. We gotta be there for the little ones and the ones that need the education. I had my granddaughter today. She is like 1 inch. It'll be like 1 inch before she's eye to eye with me, and it'll probably be before the end of the year. She'll be looking at Grammy. It doesn't take much because I'm only 5 feet tall. But so I am going to try to get back on my schedule Tuesdays and Fridays. So coming to you Tuesday, coming to you Friday. Um, I don't see that being a problem because Thanksgiving is on a Thursday. And I think Christmas this year is on a Monday. So I'm gonna come back, try to find some more topics. And I would love for you guys to put send a message about some subjects that you want to talk about, something that's in the news about these changes that are coming up, even if it's involving health. I don't know if I want to really get into that relationship thing because I know they be dogging the women out there that are talking about traditional marriages and stuff like that. They dog them, and I don't know. I'm real tough and all that, but I don't know if I want to go that route. But I will answer questions if you wanna, what do you call it, DM me or send an email and ask questions. And if anybody wants my dissertation, that 180-page dissertation, if you want to see that, I'll give it to you. You just have to send me an email at connect. No, 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 no. I don't know if it's going to go over like that. Just send me an email and I'll try to get it to you because that particular email, some things don't go over. But anyway, thank you guys for coming. I really enjoyed it. I will be back Tuesday. Please send me some subject because I want to talk about what you want to talk about if we can talk about it. Yeah, we do need the info. Yes. All right. So I'm gonna go and get some work done. And everybody have a great evening. Send me those stories. Bye bye.